All right, hello everyone. I am setting up my bag here for hole number 5. Hold on, So one of the things that you'll see me do is I might just briefly par 3, okay? So that's the one with the bunker, my least favorite hole. So if I just, hit it real quick, I can see just, because I don't have my guide, so what I do is a backspin shot. You need to avoid going down this hill. So that's the biggest tip I can give you. If you roll down the hill on the green here, you are going to give yourself a putt that can no longer reach the distance. So it's the absolute worst place you can leave it. So what I suggest here, for the most part, is just take your birdie and run with this hole. Definitely, for instance, if the wind's pointed to the left, we're going to do an overplay on purpose, hopefully get it. If we don't, we're going to just, be a little bit cautious of the hill. So here you see me setting up Rocket, Guardian. Now, let me think about this shot real quick. So we usually, in tour, 8, I'm usually, if it's into the wind, I'm into power on a 3-wood. If it's not, I'm very close to max. So it's pretty safe to assume that we're going to be at least min distance driver from the 3rd tee deck. So I'm a little hesitant with ball-wise with what I want to do. So let's look over a couple options, because I think that, restricting some of that power could be a good thing. So you want to just kind of look over your ball sack a little bit. Of course, if you have Santa balls, this is going to be, in my opinion, your absolute probably best choice for a ball. You can see I'm down to 10 of those. Other than that, movie ball is a power 2, wind resistance 4, and another one could be Pot of Gold, wind resistance 3, power 2. So hopefully you guys have picked up a couple of those, as those are your only real high wind resistant balls that they've really been putting out here recently. As you can see, we haven't had anything that duplicates 5 wind in quite some time. The next optimal solution is going to be eyeball, in my opinion. I would do that, but that ball's getting a little bit outdated, so I don't want to do something that I feel like you guys might not have. So we are going to go at it kind of like this. We're going to set up for a movie. Movie wasn't too long ago. I'm assuming, a lot of you could have it, and even if you don't, you could still go at it with a Pot of Gold ball. But as a last resort, I'm assuming you're still going to be able to go with a Kingmaker. The only problem is I'm worried about you being able to set up the guide where you might want. Let me see where this sets up. Yeah, because see, this is what I'm mentioning. So here's a 2 power ball, and I can set up right on the very front edge of the fairway, and that's it. I am probably going to try to intentionally land it off the fringe here with just a little bit of left spin, not very much, because like I said, foremost, the most important thing, and we do want to try to intentionally land it on the fringe. So I'm going to set up here. You see it is more min club, but we're still going to play a little bit more max on the adjustment. So here you're going to see me rush through the adjustment a little bit, just kind of counter it. It was probably 9 to 10 rings. Like I said, we are kind of aiming for the fringe, and I just missed it. But you can see power-wise we're good. Like I said, we are going to favor the right side. We're going to be a little careful with our adjustment. And there you see me shooting it out to the right. Staying away from that hill's edge is going to be very critical. I'm not going to, encourage any kind of backspin to the right here into a left wind. Because you don't want to accidentally roll down the hill here, costing yourself a precious stroke. if you do roll down the hill, the only chance you have is to roll onto the fringe if you want to salvage birdie, because you will not be able to make that putt from down there. So you want to be very careful on this hole. And like I said, you know, in my opinion, just for setup purposes. So let's think about this. A 2 power ball, you could see where my setup was. And you see here, this guy did hit the fairway. So, you know, he kind of got bailed out. And, you know, if you miss a lot instead of a little, you can see kind of the benefits to missing a lot is you're going to put yourself in a distance where you're on the fringe as opposed to, you know, just down there on the green. So let's think about this. I think a power 2 ball is, what, 5% extra power? Is that right? I think it's 5. And the power 3 ball is 7%. So we're looking at about 2% less distance, which is probably 3 to 4 yards. So you can see where my min distance was, how it was onto the fringe. So if I would use a 3 power ball, it's safe to assume that a 3 power ball would be, you know, 3 or 4 yards longer with the cursor. So you couldn't actually set up on the fringe. So that would be the only real distance between a 2 and a 3 power ball. So it won't be the end of the world, but you won't be able to put the cursor on the fringe. So as long as you're comfortable with that, will not be the end of the world. Same thing here applies. You're going to see me, since it's a little bit more downwind, you're going to see me jack up the backspin more than you saw me do last time, because we're going to have to land more aggressively. And here you can see me setting up just a little bit short and left of the hole like usual. Like I said, you know, 30% extra, or at least 20. So, you know, 12, 13 rings here. So let's try this. And there you see perfect ball. That's going to land too long. So I saw that I landed it too long. I knew it. I didn't want to land it there. Not sure why it carried that far. It probably has to do more about the angle that I pulled back more than anything, because that's not where I originally set up. Everything else looked pretty good there, aside from my land zone. Had I landed it shorter, kind of where I set up, it was going to be spot on the hole. I landed it probably 4 yards long of where I was setting up, which means I was probably pulling back a little bit too, so when you saw me rotate, I was probably pulling back just a little bit too left, and I should have been pulling back just a tiny bit more right, a little bit on the shorter side, to keep that ball landing more in plane. And you see this guy, he landed it very similarly to how I did, but he cranked up his backspin entirely. So there you're seeing that ball. But I was playing a replay anyway. It's pretty obvious from the get-go that you know, I didn't get a live opponent there. But anyway, you know, good luck with that you know, 5th hole. Keeping it safe is going to be a good thing. You know, avoid that hill. But you know, like I said, I'm encouraging, you know, you're better off not making a super huge miss like that guy just did. It's funny that you can, you know, be that far off and kind of get bailed out on that hole. But as you can see, you know, a bigger miss might not be the end of the world unless your bigger miss goes in the sand, for example. Because just the littlest of misses, especially if you try to do a hop shot over that bunker, because that's your other option, is you can take a 3-wood and just try to hop it over that bunker. But, you know, the same thing applies. One bad bounce, especially with that wind pointed right to left. If it was pointed left or right, I'd probably set up to do that shot, because I'd have that little safety net of knowing that the momentum of the wind is pushing it away from the hill. But with it pushing towards the hill, we don't want that little minute miss to make it slowly roll down the hill and not make it to the fringe and not be able to reach the putt to the hole. So keep that tip in mind, and good luck with that hole. And be on the lookout for hole number 6 coming up momentarily. See you guys.